Welcome to Smart Women Talk. This is your host, Katana Abbott. I'm a midlife millionaire coach and a certified financial planner, and I search the world for smart women and a few good men, including best-selling authors and thought leaders who are on that leading edge. So join us for conversations on money, business, health, and inspiration so you can live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, I am so excited because we are speaking with certified travel consultant, travel writer, Amalia Del Riego, who will share her personal experience of moving from the United States to Spain and running her own travel business there. You're going to love her story. And she's going to be sharing what makes Spain such a wonderful country to move to, whether you're still working or you're in retirement. She's going to talk about some of the insights on various regions of Spain and then other parts of Europe, because as you know, everything is so close there, and parts to consider for, living or retiring and even working, and then resources for making the move a reality. So originally from Colorado, Amalia, she loves living in Denia, Spain, and sharing about her travels. Her idea of a great time is eating and drinking her way around a new place and meeting the people. And as a certified travel consultant and travel writer, she specializes in custom planning trips throughout Europe, as well as scouting trips for moving to Spain. So Amalia, welcome to Smart Women Talk. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Katana. I'm very honored and super excited to get to spend this time with you.
You never know how you're going to meet someone. And so when your email came through and I started reading about Spain, I've always had this interest in going to visit both Spain and Portugal. And so when I started reading your newsletter, it just seems like you were having so much fun, and you were talking about a trip that you were planning that included art. And it just really spoke to me. So tell me a little bit about, you didn't move alone to Spain. You moved with someone you were in a relationship with, and you recently married. I'd love you to share how you ended up deciding to come to Spain, and then talk about this romantic, relationship you have, that you're in business with your husband now in this beautiful country. But how did it all happen? Because I think that would be very interesting for us to all hear.
Of course. I actually was traveling by myself 10 years ago in 2012 and spent a good amount of time in Spain, about 5 months. And when I went back to Colorado, I ended up shortly after meeting Eric, who I just recently married here in Spain. And at that time, I remember telling him, you need to know that I have my heart set on moving to Spain. So you essentially need to want to do that too, or this is not going to work. And fortunately, he was also wanting to move abroad. He had been to Spain a few times before and is quite passionate about the Mediterranean. And he was completely in. And so we were there in the US for 2 years before we moved to Spain together in 2015.
Okay, so was it scary? Was it scary to make that move?
Yeah, it was. And what surprised me is that once we were here, I felt like I experienced for the first handful of months, a little bit of shock for myself of, oh my gosh, I've achieved this desire that I wanted so much. What do I do now? Or can this really be real? And I'm quite a happy, outgoing, positive person. So I don't think I was necessarily depressed. However, I felt a little bit more down at times and not as excited as I expected to be. So, sometimes when I have spoken to some other people after they have moved here, it can be such a big change that your emotions might be a little bit unsettled at first. But I'm really glad that we stuck it out. Never once did I think, maybe this isn't supposed to be and we should go back. we've never had those thoughts, myself or Eric. And after some time, I was very grateful for that time, because I think it taught me a lot about some subconscious beliefs and patterns that I had of thinking that I could not achieve what I really desired, that maybe I got it at too young of an age, or it came too easy. And I've definitely moved past that now and really embraced being able to live here. So.
Well, I have to commend you, because, you hear about people retiring and moving to Portugal. I know a woman who's done that, and she, blogs about it, and she has her Facebook group. And you hear about a lot of people in US moving to Costa Rica, right?
Yeah.
But you don't hear about a lot of young people your age, that leave the country and move to a foreign country like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have seen, I feel like it is quite amazing how it has been happening a little bit more than in times past. I think it's only going to continue to grow in regards to the possibilities. And I was very fortunate with the fact that I was able to get Spanish nationality because of my grandfather being from Spain a long time ago. And that in and of itself is quite the story. So I will say that did help immensely. It wasn't necessarily easy or overnight. That process took almost 3 years for me to go through, with all the paperwork and the embassies in the US. And that took place back in 2010 to that I started, 2010, I started processing that, or 2009, and I didn't complete it till 2012. That's when I finally got my Spanish passport. But it really helped make it possible for someone at that place in my life and at that age to be able to make a move to Europe, not just Spain, but even to have the opportunity to be in any of the countries in the Schengen zone. That's that, group of countries that us Americans can only spend 90 days in, unless we get EU, residency. So I've been very fortunate with that, but there are a lot of possibilities. And actually, Spain has a new law that just passed that I would love to chat about a little bit too. That could be a possibility for people who are descendants of Spanish immigrants that left Spain.
Please share that with us. That sounds exciting. Yeah. I was going to ask you, because you do have the long name, which share that is Spanish. Sometimes it's many, many, many names, right? They carry all the names.
Yeah. That's my Spanish name, Amalia Rebecca Maloney Del Riego. Yeah, it's even because they use the middle name too, and it's quite funny. So I got my nationality through a law called the Ley de la Memoria Histórica, or the Historic Memory Law. And that was back in 2007 that came to pass, and had a window of 3 years. However, just this year in October, actually, a law was approved and put into effect here in Spain that is the Democratic Historical Law, or the Democratic Memory Law. I'm sorry, actually. And this Democratic Memory Law is now making it even more possible for anyone who was a descendant of Spanish immigrants who were, as long as your, let's say, parents or grandparents were born before 1985, if they had left Spain, and even if they had taken citizenship somewhere else in another country, which many did, or let's say, especially for women, if they had married someone else and been able to take on other citizenship, now it's actually possible that you could still qualify to get Spanish nationality through this law if you go through the process. Now, here in Spain, things online have gotten better, but the government sites and processes, just be patient. But I can definitely provide some resources for that if anybody wants to be in touch. Subscribe to my newsletter and reach out to me through my website. It still is such a new law that the process is not necessarily quite clear. However, it opens up a lot of possibilities, because before it was a lot more limited. If a woman had married in another country, this wouldn't work for someone, for the descendant, if someone had taken any other citizenship. But now they've really gotten rid of those restrictions. And this is going to be big for a lot of people who their parents or grandparents were exiled out of Spain during the Spanish Civil War. That's what happened to my grandfather. He fought on the Republican side and he had to flee for his life. And he never came back until after the dictator Franco died. And even then, he did not recognize Spain as his country. So he went back to the Dominican Republic, where he had been exiled to, and he had made a new life there. Things really worked out wonderfully, beautifully. But that is one of at least the golden linings that have come out of that recent occurrence in Spanish history, and could be a possibility now for some people.
So, and what you're talking about is getting a residency.
Yeah, it's actually citizenship. It's nationality.
So it is citizenship. That's what. So are you going to have you have dual citizenship with you now? That is so amazing. What a wonderful thing to have.
It's very possible. A lot of people think that the U.S. doesn't allow that, but that's a misconception. It's absolutely possible. My mother has 3 nationalities. She has a Dominican passport. She is an American, having been there for 30 years and raised us kids there, married my father, an American. And then she, of course, has her Spanish passport now, and she's been living in Spain for over 10 years now. And so.
Oh, that's exciting. So your mother is in Spain as well.
She is, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Great. So you came with your husband and you both run this business. You mentioned your website, but why don't you share the name of your business and your website? And we'll be posting it later. But
of course, it's called Move to Traveling, and movetotraveling.com is our website. It's where we share our travel stories and inspirational, resourceful stories about living in Spain and traveling around Europe. So it's full of plenty of resources and especially personable stories. It actually started out with me blogging about our travels. And at that time, I was doing other work in marketing and even website design. And that's how I was able to work remotely from any internet connection. And then people just started enjoying it so much. And the longer we've been living in Denia, Spain, people have been asking us a lot of questions about what it's like specifically to live in this town, but also in Spain in general. So it really blew up. It became more of a resource, and we're very excited to now expand. Earlier this year, we expanded into offering custom travel planning services, because I'm that planning type that loves to be organized and help people.
You were going to be planning ours. I already told you that. So I'm very excited.
I'm looking forward to it.
In 2024. So let's talk about Denia, because one of my dear friends, she was living in Michigan. She ended up getting divorced. She had a job offer in Spain. And so she moved back to Spain, where she came from. And so now she's living in northern Spain, where her family is and all her friends from high school. But she said she's going to use the money from her home here, because she has an apartment there. And guess where she's going to buy her home?
Ooh, could it
in
be Denia?
Oh. And when she told me this several years ago, I had no idea where Denia is. And so I think that's another thing that attracted me to you. And it just sounds so beautiful, because I really want to live someday where it's warm and I can go pick oranges and lemons off the trees. And I remember Valencia, which is, we call an orange here, Valencia orange, that's grown down in Florida. So it's on the Mediterranean. This is what I don't know. I haven't been there, but what I'm thinking is that where you are living in Denia, it's on the Mediterranean. It's going to have beautiful weather. She mentioned something about just being a few minutes from the ocean and a few minutes from the mountains. So I know if I'm mentioning this, people are going, "Oh, that sounds so perfect." Please tell us about what it's like to live there and just the lifestyle. And then, mention why you were a little bit, depressed when you got there, because you would think that you would come to this beautiful place and you would just be so joyful. But tell us about what it's like.
I would love to. We love Denia. And actually, we came to Valencia first, which is only an hour north of Denia. And we've always thought, oh, we're city people. We moved from downtown Denver. We want to be in a city. And Valencia, we still love. It's our favorite city in Spain. We were there for 4 months and we loved it. However, we did notice being in a city and in the midst of all those particular old buildings, the air quality was a little bit different. There's a lot of public transport and buses going around, a lot of traffic. And we also wanted to be in a historic center that was truly walking distance to the beach. And the beach in Valencia is pretty nice. It's a long sandy stretch, but we didn't love it. It wasn't the most beautiful beach to us. And we decided, let's look for some place that is active year round, but maybe doesn't have to be a city, and where a historic center is right on the water. And let's add to our checklist castle and a marina, because we would like to sail more. And it took us some months, and we were in another little village that was very quiet, too quiet for us during the winter. But then we went just a little bit further, and that's how we discovered Denia through a local friend we had made. And Denia really checked off all the boxes. And people like to say that it is a Goldilocks town, that it's just the right size. And it's also active year round. There's a lot going on. It's creative, it's innovative. It's actually a UNESCO designated creative city of gastronomy. There are so many restaurants here in Denia on an ongoing basis that you could eat at a different one every day of the year and never go to all of them. There's more than 300-400, restaurants. And we have a Michelin star restaurant here that's very good, and a lot that are practically that level. They maybe just don't have the designation, but are amazing and fantastic. It's also where the Balearia ferry goes from to go to Ibiza and Formentera. We're one of the closest points on the mainland shore to Ibiza and Formentera, which are the Balearic Islands. And so you can easily take the ferry to go travel over there. But one of our favorite things also is, yes, of course, the castle. We can see it from our apartment, and it's right there. I mean, you overlook the sea, and there's a huge mountain here, Mont Go, that comes right down to the sea. So the hiking is beautiful, great balance of town and nature as well. And it has 2 types of beaches. There is the sandy Las Marinas beach, which is very beautiful. And then on the other side of town is the Las Rotas beach. And that is like stepping into Greece. When you picture Greece, you think of the rocky coves and the little restaurants right perched on the rocks right there on the water. And that's what the Las Rotas is like. It's actually our favorite because there's so much fish there, and it's beautiful to snorkel there, and it's a protected natural park. You can't fish there. The boats cannot come in too close to the shore. And it's a reserve. So we think the fish obviously know that, and they flourish there. And it's our favorite part of the beach here in Denia. Yes, you asked about the lifestyle. The people are wonderful, just as they are, as we've experienced throughout the Valencia region. It's definitely relaxed and laid back, especially compared to the US. At first, it can be a little bit of an adjustment in regards to things can be a little bit more put off. People tend to want to finish things tomorrow or the next week. But we also have had plenty of experiences where things have been taken care of, like a hot water heater needing to be repaired or replaced. And it's been done quite efficiently and very quick, And so I think like anywhere, it just goes both ways. But the lifestyle is definitely, it still is true. Spain is a laid back, very family oriented culture. And that still is very strong here.
The one thing that I kept saying, I want to go to Portugal. I want to go to Portugal. And I was, fantasizing about living there because I was watching my friend Marsha. But then I thought the language, because I've been to Brazil, and when I got off at the airport, it was nothing like Spanish. I could not read even one sign.
Oh no, yeah,
Which, I can recognize things and kind of get around with the Spanish. So that's the other thing. A lot of us in the US, we know Spanish. It's a pretty easy language to learn. So, do you have to know Spanish, or do the people still speak English, and how are they about working with Americans?
Well, the international community here is wonderful. There's quite a few foreigners, not as much as some places, and it's not overdeveloped. But with that, there's a lot of great resources. The Intercambio program here is also partnered with the town hall, and they do fantastic events, even on a weekly basis, 2 nights per week. On different nights, there are just casual meeting nights where you can go to a certain restaurant / bar, and you can sit and relax and just have a coffee or a drink. And Spaniards come to practice their English, and English speakers come to practice their Spanish. So it's really encouraging in that people are very accommodating to the locals. Even if you don't make the effort, I've never seen anyone be rude or unkind. And, like I said, it's just so warm and friendly here. It really is. And they're super helpful. And you can tell too, they do appreciate when you make the effort also, and they're happy to help. And, no one's going to ridicule you because you're learning Spanish, and one of the big things I encourage people to expect when they move to Spain, or really any other country with a foreign language in Europe, it is that learning a language will take some time. So try and be patient with yourself. People come and they think that even in a year, they're going to be fluent. And you can live here for years and years, and it will take commitment and focus and dedication to really do it. But there's a lot of resources here in Denia, which is one of the pluses. The schools, the intensive courses, and people are very encouraging with it.
Well, and they have the apps now that even if you spend 15 minutes every single day religiously working through the app, because isn't it the important thing is to just do it regularly, like piano even, regularly, and not just think you can go take a class once in a while and cram.
Yeah, and to practice.
Yeah.
What's really great is that, like any place in a foreign country, you can get by just fine without knowing Spanish and not knowing a lot. But if you want to feel like you're integrating with the locals and the local culture, there's ample opportunity for that. Let's say you're a little bit more introverted, or you find yourself gravitating towards a lot of other English-speaking friends here, it can be easy to just continue to have only foreign friends. But that can happen anywhere. People can be quite harsh on that. My thought is to not judge. Everyone is at a different place, and it takes time for people to get accustomed to being somewhere. And no matter what, you're going to have a good time if you just set your mind to it. It's going to be the way that you create it to be, I really think.
So what was the one thing that happened that switched it for you, so that you finally, because you said you were feeling a little like a fish out of water, perhaps?
It definitely was once we got to Denia, and I started to really feel like I could call this place home. Because at first we actually thought that we would travel quite a bit, that we would move every few months and be on the go. That's actually how the idea of the name Move to Traveling came up, is because we thought, well, we just want to travel. That's, we're not necessarily moving to any one place. We just want to travel. But we ended up finding that there was something in us that did want to develop a home base, and Denia was that for us. And so I guess it was just part of my journey and experience for that. And it really, really connected.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of people doing travel blogs where they're always in different places.
Mm-hmm.
So I see how you
which
could
is
have thought that. So another question, what is the cost of living? Because I hear that Spain is a very inexpensive place to live in compared to the United States. So, what is better? What might be the same? I think that would be an interesting, especially a big part of our audience are people that are maybe moving into retirement years, and they may want to retire there.
Absolutely. It's probably the most popular question that we get. And I would say even right now, for around 3,000 US dollars per month, on the conservative side, you could live very comfortably here, very well. You could even maybe around 2,500 at the minimum, But with that, because of the affordability for the most part of housing here, but also food and the quality of food, eating out can be very affordable also. And once again, it's quite healthy because the EU has, all the regulations about what ingredients can be in food that the US just doesn't have. So that also lends to the quality of life is just how good it will be for your health, yet it's so affordable. The other big one is healthcare. When you come as a foreigner and get residency, you need to have private health insurance at first. And the private health insurance can be US prices, it just depends. And some people end up keeping it even after years of being here. And in addition to getting the Spanish public health insurance too, because sometimes private health insurance can get you more quickly into appointments that maybe if you have more specialized conditions or health issues, then that's where keeping private health insurance would be really important and more beneficial. But there are some people too that in addition or just on its own, even if you're not working here and paying into the Social Security system, you can pay per month for the public health system, and it is so affordable.
That's what I was going to ask you. I thought it would be.
It's very inexpensive. Even there are people who come over here and visit and will be here for, let's say, a month or for the summer, and they will come and get all of this work done, all this health work done. Because it's so inexpensive here. So even the out-of-pocket stuff, without even having public health care, the public health care doesn't cover dental and eye care, but even that, going to a dentist is so affordable here that we have friends that when they come visit Spain, they'll make a dentist appointment and get their work done here. And it's very good work. They're fantastic at it. So that is a big part of the cost of living too. But it's still, with where our economies worldwide are at, it still is very affordable and great quality of life. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, well, that's 30 or 3,000 a month would not give you a good quality here.
I know. Yeah, it used to be maybe if you were living in the city, but now it seems like it's not even that.
No, it's difficult. Like some people are paying $1,000 a month for a car payment.
Yeah.
The cars have shot up. So let's talk about cars there, because you on our call when I first, contacted you about doing the show, you said you haven't had a car, but you're thinking of getting one. And one of the things that I notice is, here, if you need to go to the corner store, you drive your car. And when we were in Spain visiting our friends in the winter and they had a newborn baby and we were going to the restaurant, we put the baby in the buggy that had a plastic cover over it and everything, and we walked through the snow with snowing outside in the winter to the restaurant. And it's a different kind of lifestyle. So I'd love you to just share that because it's healthy and how would you get around then? And then what if you want to take a trip? How would you do that? So.
Course, yeah. Love that question. Yeah, we still haven't had a car, and now we've become even more conscious of wanting a hybrid or completely an electric car. So it's been worth waiting because the infrastructure is practically there. It's already so much better. We have electric charging stations here in Denia too, all throughout different neighborhoods. So that's very inspiring. And it is amazing what it does to how you slow down your approach at, rather than stocking up on a bunch of groceries, we go and grocery shop every few days and stop in and just get a couple light bags of things. Like, things are very fresh. We go to the local farmers market that's every Friday, that is fresh and so affordable. And and not having a car doesn't inhibit any of that. It is true that having a car helps you get into some of the more remote and smaller villages and the rural areas and the countryside. And what we do is we use the bus a lot to get up to Valencia. For example, we're going to Valencia tomorrow, and we're just taking a direct bus. It's only an hour trip, super inexpensive. I mean, I think it was 23 euros for Eric and I to get the bus up there. And it drops us off right in the center. And we have been using that as transportation. We walk everywhere, or we ride our bikes when the weather's nice. So you're right, it also contributes to being very healthy and fit as well. And a lot of people are like that here. The older people, you see them out walking all the time. They walk to get their groceries with their little carts that are made for getting the groceries. We have one of those too. And it just works. And it really, we do not miss having a car. I will definitely say that. The insurance, the tires, the licensing, it'll be okay to go back to it. But the trains are also fantastic here. I mean, Europe wide, the idea of trains is so romantic in the travel industry and in general, but that really still, with how common it is here, it hasn't lost that romantic touch for us. It still is one of our preferred methods of traveling. And it does continue to get very good, even better here in Spain and throughout Europe. Two major companies have funding in Europe to do sleeper cars, like nice sleeper cars, starting next year and in 2024. So what that's going to mean for traveling, for living abroad here in Europe in general, is it's only good things for the environment, and I think for our health and our lifestyle. So yeah, having a car here can also be a little bit more affordable if you do have one. Finding a used car, just hopefully you know how to drive manual instead of automatic.
Well, it sounds like you don't really even need it. So that's pretty, because we don't have that kind of public transportation here in the U.S., especially in Detroit, because we were the automotive capital. So I wanted to, because I know we're, getting towards the end, but I wanted to ask you, living in Europe, one of the best things I see about it is that you have all these different wonderful countries to travel to. And then the way you have the wonderful train system set up, and probably even the buses. So is it easy to travel to other countries? And and then when let's say someone wanted to contact you and they wanted to have a trip, can you plan something for them so they could maybe come into Denia and meet you and, go on this trip? And I know you even help people with real estate agents so they can go on a real estate tour. So just share, I know that's a lot of things there, but if we can, talk about that idea of being able to travel and maybe even explore other places that people might want to live.
Absolutely. Yes, that's something that it's my passion. I really enjoy being able to encourage people that if you're looking to travel Europe, have someone help you plan it. Being a travel consultant is something that is not outdated, because there is a lot available at your fingertips that you can do yourself, but it is also so much that it can be overwhelming. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people love to plan their own travel, and that's where you can come to our website for tons of resources, great tools that are free, and even give some discounts for your travel, that if you love to plan your own travel, you can be helped there as well at our site. And at the same time, if you don't, or you don't have the time, especially time really is the most precious commodity that we have. And so if you don't have the time, that's where my clients come to me for being able to plan a trip, so it truly is a vacation, so it truly is enjoyable, and to get that expert insight, that really comes from living over here and from having traveled around Spain and different parts of Europe. And I have so many great resources. I love to be able to share them with other people. So traveling around Europe and around Spain, it's wonderful, as I mentioned, by train, by bus, road tripping around if you do want to drive still and have a car. I have some great providers who actually are providing hybrid and electric cars if you are passionate about that, and can help you plan so that you know what charging stations you need to make it to and have available to stop at, even down to that extent of detail. That's why I focus really on custom travel planning. And then for the trains, they're a great alternative to flying, of course, and it helps encourage slow travel. So, it's also fine to fly too. A lot of the airlines are doing incentives now where you can pay a little bit of something to offset the emissions. And so there's a lot of good positive things that I think is only making travel better here. And I'm very excited and able to tie into travel planning for people. So really, it's down to what kind of trip you want and where you want to go. I get to know you and find out what options you can consider, present those so that you have plenty to choose from, but you're not overwhelmed. So that's what helps.
Well, and also I would think that knowing exactly what sites to go to, and then you could probably help them with getting a local guide or getting access to certain tickets and access to things, so they're not having to stand in line or find out it's filled or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have great access to a lot of those things. And you had mentioned for people looking to do a scouting trip, as we say, when they want to also visit Spain and consider possibly moving here or possibly other parts of Europe. For scouting trips, right now I focus on Spain because that's the area that I know best. But if anyone ever wanted me to look into resources for other parts of Europe, I'm very happy to. I'm quite well connected with people in this industry and who are also helping with this. For Denia in Spain in general, I have resources that vary from lawyers that specialize in foreigners moving here to Spain, especially here in Denia. I try and work with people who are local and originally from here, so they know the system very well and the community very well. And I also have some great contacts in the real estate industry too. And I didn't just pick any of these lightly. I meet with these people in person. I actually waited the first few years of being in Denia before referring anybody. People for years have been asking us, especially for real estate agent referrals. And at first, we would let people know we have no one to refer because we want to feel good about who we are referring out. And we continue to grow our connections and our relationships with these referrals because it's important to us that who we refer are quality and trustworthy. So far, we just have 2 people who we refer. I might have a third soon, but they're definitely people that have been vetted. So we're always, very excited to plan the appointments with those people and tie it in with being able to see the area, have a nice lunch somewhere after you see some properties, let's say, then one day have your meeting in a relaxed environment with a lawyer to help you with some of the other processes for getting your residency. So that would,
because it can be so overwhelming.
Yeah, and the laws change, the processes change. That's what can be a little bit scary to navigate. I already have a pretty good level of Spanish speaking since my mother is originally from the Dominican Republic. That's her first language. So Eric and we went through his process of getting Spanish residency through my nationality, but we went through the process because I was able to speak Spanish and help process the paperwork. But even then, it was quite, it took a lot of patience. It took more time than we expected. And that's the other thing. Just be prepared that, to put in some cushion on either end for what amount of time you think things might take. Things
So even if someone doesn't have Spanish heritage, they might be able to get residency if they can buy a place there?
Yes, there is the golden visa. If you spend €500,000 on a property here, then you can get Spanish residency. You can also apply for the non-lucrative visa, which you must start the process for that in the US through your embassy for your region. And that is the most common right now, especially for people who are retiring or already retired, that they get the non-lucrative visa to move over here to Spain.
Okay. Well, it's so good to have a resource there, and I'll be circling back to have you help plan, our trip for our retirement. So it has been so wonderful having you here. Is there anything else you'd like to share? And I want to be sure, I know you have a special coupon for our listeners.
Absolutely. I am happy to offer 10% off of any of my custom travel planning services. You can go to movetotraveling.com to our travel planning services page. And at checkout, just apply the coupon code SWTTravel10 and you will get 10% off just for being here on the show with us. I really appreciate your time and getting to connect with you. Please be in touch with me and also check out our website to subscribe to our newsletter. And if you need to learn a new language, which hopefully you're interested in that, we are a partner with Gimlish, who is one of the top of the line online personalized language courses. It's a great app you can do on desktop and on mobile. And you can also find those resources on our website, movetotraveling.com as well.
That sounds great. Okay, well, some wonderful resources. It has been so wonderful having you here, and I thank you for taking your time today to spend time with us and share your wisdom.
Absolutely. I'm very honored. Thank you so much, Katana. It's been a joy meeting you, and I look forward to connecting only more, and very willing and happy and excited to be of help to all of the women and men who are on this talk and anyone who wants to connect.
And good luck with your ongoing adventure.
Thank you. Likewise.
All righty. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today on Smart Women Talk. We love having you visit with us when we do these great shows. We've got another travel show coming up this month. And for those who are not on our list, be sure to go to joinsmartwomen.com. And when you do, you'll be on our mailing list. You'll also know who our guests are, and you can access all our free resources in the Smart Women Academy. So until next time, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity. Smart Women Talk is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of United Charitable. Music by Bill Lucas from his album When It Rains. Available on Apple Music and Spotify. Catch us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and be sure to join our free community at joinsmartwomen.com to access all our free Smart Women resources.